Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends. Woo! We back, baby. Little hiatus, a little breaky break that I had there. Sorry about that. Life was a little chaotic. Valentine's Day and all that was a little busy around my neck of the woods. But we back, baby. We Super Bowl. We had a Super Bowl Sunday. My goodness gracious. Before we get to the Super Bowl, I just want to talk about you. I know what you're saying. What? You don't know me. Well, I'm talking about the show You. And I don't know if you've ever watched on Netflix. It's about a guy that is a murderer, let's be honest, and a bit of a stalker and a weirdo. And, the first season was good. It kind of showed how crazy social media is and how much you can really find out about someone just on the web. And it was creepy and kind of kept you on the edge of your seat. It was really good, really, really good. Then the second season was amazing. The second season was absolutely incredible. The family that he meets and just like the characters that they created. I love season 2 so much. And then season 3 was and it got to the point where it was kind of like, all right, well, I mean, how many times is he going to do this? Like, so he just like goes from like girl to girl, just kind of like being a creeper, and somehow he talks girls into having sex with him at an alarming rate. I cannot speak, and that's what I was going to do, was speak. And so I just, the new season, and I hate you. I hate you. I hate you, because after like the first couple of minutes, I was like, well, first of all, how does he get the credentials to be a professor at a British college? What the fuck are you talking about? This guy was a fucking book clerk, and all of a sudden he's teaching a class? No, that's not how life works. But even other parts of it annoyed me, where it was like, now the creepy voiceover stuff, it's like really creepy. It's like before it was kind of like, wow, I don't know. How do I feel about this guy? But now that we know he's a murderer and he's a crazy person, it's just the voiceover stuff doesn't work for me now. Now it's super weird, but I wanted to give up. That's what I was going to say. It was that I was watching the first couple episodes and I was like, man, I'm just going to turn this shit off. This fucking sucks. And then they get you. Fucking you. They fucking get you. They fucking get you at the right fucking end. They get this little scene at the right last moment to suck in and let Netflix just roll, because it goes next episode in 3, 2, and you're like, fuck it, let it go. But yeah, that was a bummer, and we watched all of that. We watched all of You season 4. I guess this is part 1. Kind of interesting. I mean, I'll watch. It's gotten to a really interesting point now. They did kind of take a weird route to get here. Again, I have zero idea how he becomes a professor, but You. The other thing that's been going on the last couple of weeks, and I haven't actually watched this week's episode. I watched, I think it's episode 5, which is where, well, first of all, Joel is the best sniper in the history of shooting. My goodness, he was fucking unloading and headshot. I believe they're called the Bloater, is that big one, that the big zombie that showed up from underground and fucking ripped that dude in half and ripped the guy's head off. It was fucking awesome. But Last of Us, man, 2 thumbs way up. We're going to watch that today. We're going to watch the other episode today. I'm excited about that. But look at my Peaky Blinders haircut. Look at that. It's a very funny story, because the little gay Asian man that cut my hair, he said, hi, Fade. And I said, yeah, sure. Because I don't know what that means. Because I usually shave my head, but I've been wanting to grow out the top, get it sexy, get a little Justin Timberlake action going, get a little swoop. And so he said, hi, Fade. And I said, whatever. And then he did it. And now there's no hair on the side of my head, and it's all on the top of my head, and I look like Peaky Blinders. And it's kind of fun. It's a different look for me. But hopefully the hair will grow up a little more, and I can swoosh it. Swoosh. But let's swoosh right into a Super Bowl weekend. First down, Super Bowl 57. That's a big number. We're getting up there, huh? 57, Super Bowl 57. What a fucking game, man. What a game. Fun story. I usually, you watch Super Bowl with other people, but I just had no plans this year. It was just chill, and we were just gonna hang out and watch the game. And I did my dream, which is to record the Super Bowl and start it later so that I can skip the commercials. Because unlike other fucking rubes out there, I'm not watching the game for the fucking commercials. I'm actually there to watch the football. So I started the game at 8:00. So the game starts at 5:30, and I started the game at 8:00. 2.5 hours later, I caught up when they were handing the trophy to the Chiefs owner. So I literally got through the entire game in an hour and a half with just skipping commercials. And that's with my wife making me watch Rihanna. If I did not have to watch Rihanna, which I would not have, I would have skipped right through that. I would have watched just the football. That shit would have taken an hour. It was unreal how quickly I was able to watch that game. There's just so many, you don't realize, like the Dallas Goedert play, the Devontae Smith play. When they're reviewing that stuff in the Super Bowl, it seems like it takes way longer. And they're cutting in and out of they'll come back for you to look at it in slow-mo as they review it, and then they'll go back to a commercial. This is madness. So it was really nice. It was really nice, actually. I had my whole day. I wasn't wiped out by like having to sit there because it's a long process. Let's see, it's 4 hours. It's a 4-hour game. So I cut it down to an hour and a half. And I highly recommend everybody do that so that we can stop watching these fucking commercials. But man, to the game itself, can't say enough good things about Jalen Hurts. That's number one. Jalen Hurts was amazing, and I called it, and I said how good he was, and I said it last year, and I'll say it again this year, because the Eagles are going to be, why would they not be right back there, right? Kansas City's got at least a harder road. They've got to go through the AFC, but in the NFC, we'll see what San Francisco can do if they can get a quarterback, but I don't really see a lot of competition in the NFC. I don't see who Philly is going to have a hard time beating in a playoff series. The Giants aren't there yet. The Vikings are definitely not there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now starting over. The Packers, we'll see. Well, what does Aaron Rodgers do? So, Philly has got a very nice team that is right now cap friendly. So I would see them next year being a early front runner for just kind of beating up. I think they have a very similar year next year, even though their schedule will probably be difficult. But man, it was all my fantasy football players. It was all the guys that I fucking talked about, which makes me a fantasy football legend. Because no, did it count for anything? No. But in the biggest game, my brain knew who was going to ball out. Isaiah Pacheco, my dude that I picked up off a waiver wire, that was a huge pickup for me. Devontae Smith, I drafted him in almost every league. He was my third receiver that I got rid of Michael Pittman for because I thought this guy is legit. And he is. He's fucking good. He's really good. A.J. Brown is a man beast that's going to get a lot of targets. So maybe that was where I kind of missed a step and why he did have some down weeks. But Devontae Smith balled out. Sky Moore. Just took till the Super Bowl for him to actually do something, but Sky Moore with the touchdown, and Kadarius Toney with that punt return. When the punt return happened, I knew the game was over. When they ran that punt all the way down to the 5 or whatever it was, I was like, oh, the momentum has shifted. And Patrick Mahomes, it's not like he threw for 500 yards. This wasn't one of those games where he had to do that. Off the Kadarius Toney punt, all he had to do was, it was a walk-in at that point. But man, I do not want to give any thought to that anyone could catch Tom Brady, because Tom Brady, to me, the numbers are insane. And if you're going to play to 45, Patrick Mahomes, okay, I'll give you a shot. But I got to say, this kid's making you hear footsteps. You know, he's making you look behind you if you're Tom Brady and go, holy shit, is this guy going to catch me? Because he's got a great team. First of all, that's built all ready to win. They've now proven it after they've revamped with Tyreek Hill leaving, and they still have Travis Kelce. Now, he won't have Travis Kelce for 13 more years, right? Like, that's how long Patrick Mahomes is going to have to play if he wants to catch Tom Brady. But in his first 6 years, to have gone to the Super Bowl 3 times and win it twice, he's got 2 MVPs. This is basically in 5 years, because his first year he really didn't play. He sat on the bench behind Alex Smith, and then he eventually got to go in. But I would say it's unlikely that he plays till he's 45. Guys today, I mean, he gets hurt more. He's already gotten hurt. He was hurt this whole playoffs. He runs around. He gets hit. And he's getting paid way more than Tom Brady ever got paid. Not to say that that's why Tom Brady played, but it's a lot easier to retire when you're Andrew Luck and you got that $200 million contract, which, you know, Patrick Mahomes has got a $500 million contract. So it's a lot easier to retire when you're set for life. I would imagine Patrick Mahomes does not play until 45, but, you know, it's scary because the kid is amazing. I am done doubting the Kansas City Chiefs. You might have heard a little bit of that last year where I was like, oh, I don't know what they'll be without Tyreek Hill. That is gone. They are the face of the league. They are the New England Patriots. He is the new face of the league. He's the new Tom Brady. You want to beat somebody, you got to beat Patrick Mahomes. I think that's fair to say, right? I think next year they've got to be the favorites to repeat. I think next year they'll probably be the number 1 seed again. I do love the Bengals. I believe in the Bengals. Now, they've got to change some things about their team. What I really like about Kansas City is that, you know, they get beat up in that Super Bowl by Tampa Bay, and they go out, they retool that offensive line. Now Orlando Brown is probably going to require a lot of money. He's about to be a free agent. But who knows? Maybe they tag him. Maybe they come to a deal with him because he wants to stay and he wants to win. At this point, does it not seem like the Patrick Mahomes deal is that's a deal? That's an amazing deal. You got Patrick Mahomes for that? That seems like a no-brainer. I mean, every team in the league would give him that deal for a 13-year. I mean, he's not even taking that much cash. I think next year is like 36. Look at fucking Aaron Rodgers was 60. Some of these guys, Dak and Matt Stafford's going to get paid almost as much as he is. So, you know, you really got to look at this Patrick Mahomes as a very scary, scary thing if you're a Tom Brady fan the way I am. Travis Kelce, man. Next year, fantasy football, number 1 pick, Travis Kelce. How do you not? He was so much better than any other tight end. And it's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be back next year. He's going to ball out next year. If I have the number 1 pick, I'm taking Travis Kelce. Write it down. I don't care. I'm not going to be swayed. I'm going to pick Travis Kelce. He's the best tight end in the league. It's not even close. And, you know, there's a lot of these Chiefs that I would pick again. Isaiah Pacheco, the way he ran in that Super Bowl. Good Lord. Let's get ready for that. I'll take Juju again. I'd think about Kadarius Toney with the way that the end of this fucking season went, you know? So, really incredible game. As far as the holding call, I know that was the big narrative. Oh my God, that holding call. In my opinion, first of all, you're playing a lot of what ifs. You're playing the what if of like, okay, so he's got a minute and 20 seconds. Let's just play the odds that they kick it out of the back of the end zone. So he's at the 25. So you're assuming that in a minute and 20 seconds he can get down to about the 30, the 35, so that they can kick a field goal. Okay. I mean, listen, at that point, Philly's offense had kind of they came out ball busters, but the Kansas City defense have been playing better. Kansas City's the momentum had shifted. As watching that game, you just kind of went, "Oh man, that this is Kansas City's to win at this point." And they did. They did what they had to do. And the really smart play by Jerick McKinnon to get down and I have no problem. Also, it was a hold. Was it not a hold? I mean, he held him. He pulled his jersey. He tugged him. He did hold him. I mean, I get that the throw probably wasn't going to happen and blah, 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 blah. But come on. Yeah, a hold's a hold. A hold's a hold. So I think the right team won. I think that Philly, for all of the good that they did this year, this was just that young, you got to learn some of these things. You got to learn how in the second half, even though you're up, you got to keep the foot on the throat and you got to keep going. And if you're a defense of Philadelphia, you got to keep your composure. Don't hold Juju there, because maybe if you let him score, but now there's over 2 minutes left and we've got to keep both of our timeouts, well, now we have a chance to go down and match this. But because of a bad hold by Bradbury, here we are, and the Kansas City Chiefs are the champs. So overall, it was an amazing game. It was a really great game to watch in an hour and a half. And I highly suggest you record. Shout out to DVR, brought to you by Xfinity, and the DVR that brought me that super peaceful, quick Super Bowl watch. Super Bowl!
Second down.
So we got a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be on the move. We've talked about it. I just want to come back to it again. Fuck it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it until somebody goes somewhere. But I'll give you my predictions. So I think the first, also, I don't know if I've even been here to talk about Tom Brady. No, because it was Super Bowl weekend. Yeah, what a sad day. How did we not start off the Tom Brady hour with this? But yeah, my guy, I believe him. I do think that he's retired. I think that this year was him saying, man, I played really well, and if we cover Cooper Kupp on that last play, maybe I go on in the playoffs, and who knows, and I think I can do it again, and I think this team is good, and, let's go see. And it just wasn't that year for him. There was a lot of injuries that really hindered that. Ryan Jensen right away is a huge, it was the center of it all. But I just think that he's done. I think he's ready to move on. I think it's a good thing. I think that Patrick Mahomes also kind of showed that we're ready for I hate to say this, but as a football fan, it's time for him to move on. It's just time. And I think he realized it, and I think that we all kind of accepted it much differently than we did last time. It was like, I don't know. But now this time it just feels like, yeah, this is it. So sad day, moment of silence for the GOAT. That was a moment enough. But Aaron Rodgers is now next up. So he is going into the darkness retreat. Very interesting. 4 days of darkness, which apparently he can come in and out of whenever he wants. So I don't know what this is, but he's gonna trip in the dark. Sounds cool. I'm into it. But he's deciding what he's going to do. The genius that is Aaron Rodgers is deciding what he's going to do. And I think that I think there's a couple of factors here. And one of them is what I just talked about, Tom Brady retiring. So Tom Brady retiring, first of all, he just stepped in on J.J. Watt's Hall of Fame week and just said, sorry, I'm going to be here at this Hall of Fame introduction. And so will J.J. Watt, and it'll be awesome. The two of them going in together will be awesome. And it will be a really amazing week of honoring both of those guys. But J.J. Watt will kind of have a backseat to the Tom Brady show. And Aaron Rodgers cannot retire the same year as Tom Brady and go into the Hall of Fame with him. It just can't happen. It will be so weird and awful for Aaron Rodgers to just kind of be sitting in the back as we all suck Tom Brady's dick here in 5 years. I can't wait for that. I should really prepare for this because let me tell you, I'm gonna. But there's another reason too, and it's $60 million. I don't know who, or 50. I think it's 59. Who the fuck is saying who's saying no to $60 million? You show me the person that's like, I don't need 60. I'm good. But so he's not going to do that. Now I think the other thing is like, what's Green Bay want to do and what does he want to do? Does he want to stay or does he want to go somewhere else? Last year I thought was actually a much better opportunity for him to go somewhere. He didn't have this contract. He could restructure a deal with a new team and kind of not kill a cap. But at this point, you're talking about trading with Green Bay, which means this is the contract. And why in God's green earth would he restructure for another team, but he wouldn't do it for Green Bay? Doesn't make a lot of sense. It would be a huge fuck you to Green Bay, and I don't think they would let it happen. I think they would say, wait a minute, you're going to restructure this fucking stupid contract that you did with us with another team? Then fuck you. You can either retire and we can keep that fucking money, or you can play here in a Green Bay Packer uniform. And I think that's what happens. That's my prediction, is that he goes nowhere. I thought he was going to go somewhere last year, but he didn't. And I don't think it happens this year, especially with all the money that's on the line. And I think it's just one more year, and I think he retires next year so that he doesn't have to go into the Hall of Fame with Tom Brady. But I think we see Aaron Rodgers in a Packer uniform. I really do. $60 million. That's a lot of chit-chat-chat-chatta. The second domino to go, and he's visited the Jets. He had a trade interest from New Orleans, which he very politely told the Las Vegas Raiders to go fuck themselves because he would be doing no such thing as trading with anyone. And maybe that means he doesn't really want to go to New Orleans. I don't know. I don't think it's the best landing spot for him. I think the Jets might be one of the better spots to land. If New England opened up, I think that might be one of the better spots to land. But if I had to guess where Derek Carr goes, I actually think it's Carolina. Because if you look at the draft, they're ninth. So they could move up. Or get a veteran, Frank Reich, get a veteran, bring him in. Maybe, I think there might be more of a long-term plan with Frank Reich than we imagine. And I think that they could even see a scenario where maybe next year, because, is Carolina going to not blow the socks off us next year, no matter who their quarterback is? Probably not. Especially with Christian McCaffrey out the door. I like I like Brian Burns on the defense, and I think they do have some good players, but I just don't see them winning I don't know who wins that division, actually. That's a good point. I really don't know who wins that division. But I just think Derek Carr makes sense for a temporary to look into the future at maybe some of the next. I honestly, as a Houston Texans fan, I am now of the mindset that I would like for us to trade that number 2 pick to somebody else who wants it. Washington, Indianapolis, Vegas, Atlanta, maybe Carolina, maybe. There's a lot of teams. Is Chicago going to trade Justin Fields? There's a lot of question marks in all of this. But if I'm Houston, I think I trade the pick. I suck for Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams from USC that just won the Heisman, that kid is special. I like him much more than I do Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I think he's a much better NFL talent. I think he's got Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson written all over him. And I would rather lose for Caleb Williams than win with CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. I just think we've got a longer road ahead of us if it's CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. If it's Caleb Williams, I see Caleb Williams coming into the league more similar to Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert to a certain degree, Jalen Hurts. I see him being much more that prototype than Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I see Bryce Young and CJ Stroud as kind of a Justin Fields, which is why what do the Chicago Bears do? I don't know. But I think Derek Carr goes to the Carolina Panthers. That's my prediction. I think he goes to the Panthers, and I think it's on a relatively reasonable deal that doesn't break their bank. And I think they maybe are of the same mindset of what I'm saying for the Texans. Maybe they lose next year, and they go get Caleb Williams. It's a good plan. Caleb Williams is going to change somebody's team. I guarantee it. Caleb Williams. You hear me singing his name right now. And then, maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Jets. Maybe it's something else. I don't know what happens with the Jets. I really didn't come up with that plan on the Jets yet because I believe the next domino is Jimmy Garoppolo. And I believe Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to want to suck. They have too much money wrapped up in big name players like Mike Evans, Shaq Barrett, Chris Godwin. I think they're going to want to stay with it. But I think they need a quarterback. Obviously, the guy's gone. And I think Jimmy G's a huge name that can step into that role that probably knows the Tom Brady role pretty well. I like Jimmy G. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is really a good quarterback in this league, and I think you're lucky to get him if you get him. So I would imagine that Jimmy G goes to either Tampa Bay or somewhere. He'll be a starter right away. Wherever he goes, Jimmy G is a starter. I think that's hands down. If he goes to Carolina, if he goes to the Jets, if he goes to Indianapolis, Washington, wherever Jimmy G winds up, he is a starter. I guarantee it. Then you've got a couple of names that the next three names, I believe they stay where they are. The first two, I believe they rework a deal and it's a favorable for everybody. I think Daniel Jones gets a nice, I don't think it's a huge deal, but I think it's a nice deal. I think they do like what they see out of him with Brian Daboll. I think Daboll proved that he can win with Daniel Jones. He just needs more pieces. He needs more offensive pieces for sure. They're going to have to think about what they're going to do on Saquon, honestly. But I would not break the bank for a running back. I don't care how good Saquon is. I just wouldn't do it. I would not, and I wouldn't give him a bunch of years because that's not how running backs work. But Daniel Jones is a big name that I think he is a free agent, so he doesn't have to go anywhere. But I think he stays, or he doesn't have to stay, but I think he does stay. But that's a big name. And let's say he does walk. Where does he go? He becomes a starter somewhere too. Geno Smith, amazing comeback player of the year. Incredible season that he had in Seattle. I think that continues. I think Seattle says, let's run this back. We had a good run here. Let's build up the rest of their defense back. Let's get a Kenneth Walker back, and let's play the rest of this out. Let's do this again because I really like Geno Smith, and I think that Seattle does too. So I think he re-signs with Seattle, but again, another name. If he goes from there, he's a starter somewhere else from the way he played last year. They have whoever signs him is going to give him a good deal, and they'll probably sign him to start. And then we go to the other name that's been floating around and everybody's been talking about, and that's Lamar Jackson. I think he stays put because I know they're going to tag him. They're not going to let him go just for free. That makes zero sense. If you want to leave, that's fine, but we're going to tag you so that we can now trade that exclusive tag and now get something, because we're going to get something for you, because you're not just going to walk out the door for nothing. So no matter what, they tag him. That's what I think. They might tag him just to say, do you understand? You're stuck here at least for 2 more years if you want to go this route. If you want to go, we can figure that out, but it's going to be under our terms because we run this ship. And that's why I think there is a lot of pushback, because I think those conversations have been had and it hasn't been with an agent. He's probably like, man, fuck you. I can do what fucking Kirk Cousins did. I can wait out these fucking franchise tags and go get paid some huge deal the way that Kirk Cousins did. And he can. He can also sit out if he wants. I don't think he will, but I think that that's the battle you're going to see. You're going to see Baltimore say, sorry. If you do go somewhere, we're going to trade you somewhere, and it's going to be somewhere bad. You can go ahead and count on playing in Atlanta or fucking, Carolina, somewhere like that, because that's where we're going to send you. We're going to send you out of the conference. We're going to send you away from us, and you're gonna rue the day, and maybe re-sign with them with some big number because they are a bad team. Maybe get Indianapolis eventually at some point. I don't think they trade him in Indianapolis because I don't think they keep him in the AFC. I don't think they want to see him. I think it'll be out of spite they'll get rid of him. But I don't think they do. I think you see him in a Baltimore Raven jersey next year, and I think it's on the tag. And then you've got a lot of other interesting shit. The next two names are under contract, and there's just been kind of a rumor of like they're not super happy with it, and that's Ryan Tannehill and Zach Wilson. Now, I think Zach Wilson is done in the Jets. I think that's a for sure. They cannot bring him back in with the way that it ended last year. They just got to move on. And I think they're looking to move on. They were looking at Derek Carr. That's a very realistic possibility. So then that means Zach Wilson goes somewhere else. So where does Zach Wilson go? I think it could be somewhere like Washington. I think it could be somewhere like Vegas, maybe Atlanta, maybe Detroit. Tries to bring him in and see if they can work something out after Jared Goff, because I don't know how dead set they are on Jared Goff. Man, the draft is just crazy, right? Like, I have the top 10 written up here. You look at it. Number 1, Chicago. Who knows what they're going to do? I think they're going to trade the pick, but who knows? And I think they keep Justin Fields. Houston, probably going to draft a quarterback. It breaks my heart to say it. I want them to lose for Caleb Williams, but they're probably going to pick a quarterback. Arizona, I doubt they pick a quarterback. I think they're going to pick Will Anderson, or they're going to pick Jalen Carter. They're going to pick one of those two incredible rushers, but who knows? Indianapolis, if let's say that the first two are Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, but they love Will Levis, and they don't get Derek Carr, and they don't get Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't get one of these free agents. I think it's safe to say Indianapolis might draft a quarterback there. Does Seattle draft a quarterback, even if they keep Geno Smith? Does Detroit draft a quarterback with keeping Jared Goff? Las Vegas, they currently don't have a quarterback. They think they can get on, but let's say they lose out on Jimmy G and they lose out on Derek Carr and they don't get Aaron Rodgers. Now what the fuck do they do? Atlanta, are they crazy about Desmond Ridder? I don't think so. So do they get a free agent? And if not, then what the fuck do they do? They're 8. Number 9, Carolina. We've talked about what I think they're going to. I think they might be the one that trades up. I think they got an extra first-round pick with Christian McCaffrey. Maybe they just trade their pick and think, okay, with the Christian McCaffrey pick, we'll get somebody good as well later on in this draft. And then your number 10 pick, how hilarious is this? The Philadelphia Eagles. So the Philadelphia Eagles, after as well as they played, are going to get the number 10 pick overall. Holy shit. But I don't know about where Zach Wilson goes. I don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback. I just don't see it. I don't like the look of it. It's kind of Baker Mayfield-ish, which is funny because he's the next name on my list. Oh, I didn't really talk about Tannehill, but I don't know. I don't know if they move on from it. They'd have to. I would imagine that in that scenario, they have a trade for a quarterback that they like more. Like they swap 2 first rounds and Ryan Tannehill for Aaron Rodgers. Like I can imagine that, but I don't know if I can imagine just trading him for nothing and trying to rebuild. I don't think that they're in that position. And Malik Willis is, I think that's his name. Malik Willis is not an NFL quarterback. But those are interesting names. Baker Mayfield's an interesting name. I think by process of elimination, he will wind up with a job. Now, I don't think whoever gets it is going to be happy about it, but they're going to start him because it's Baker Mayfield, and they're going to say, well, listen, he looked okay at the end of that Los Angeles Rams little run. I think that we can make it work at where we are, and maybe it is a Band-Aid just until we do go into Caleb Williams territory. So if you're someone like Carolina or Las Vegas or someone that doesn't get one of these guys, you're going to be looking at Baker Mayfield because your options are the 2 Carolina quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Those are your options for young talent that is out there that is potentially still an NFL quarterback. I think both of them have potential, but it's about where they end up. I don't know if I'd be crazy about Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, as Carolina clearly was not. But if you're Indianapolis, if you're Washington, if you're Tampa Bay, if you're Las Vegas, if you're one of these teams that currently don't have a quarterback, Atlanta, you might want to look at one of those two names because it's better than. Now we get into Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke. Well, these guys were backups, and they'll probably be smart to take another backup role with somebody who's often injured. Miami might want to look at one of those guys because that's probably a good idea. But maybe Miami looks to trade Tua. Who knows? Maybe they're looking to move off of that because of the injuries worries. So the quarterback carousel has never been more interesting, and it's going to be fucking wild this year. But please, Houston, please lose for Caleb Williams. That's what I want. Lose for Caleb. Lose for Caleb.
Third down.
Well, the All-Star break, it was upon us. The All-Star break was pretty good this weekend. The little white guy, my goodness, Max McClung or whatever the fuck your name was, little white guy Duncan, making me feel bad about myself. This guy's my height and he's fucking throwing down some nasty dunks. It's unbelievable. But I still think that the All-Star weekend itself is a little lame. The All-Star game itself is not fun to watch. It's just a lot of three-point shots and no defense, and it's just really annoying. But All-Star weekend is usually the sign for we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. I believe there's 23 games left. We've got a wide open field as far as the West goes. It is absolutely bizarre that the Lakers are only about that's like 5 games out of being the 5 seed. Is that right? That can't be right. Are they 5 games out from being the 5 seed? They're the 13th right now. It just shows that the basketball this year is the basketball is basketball. It's really, really even. There's not one team kind of running away with it. And then throw into the mix, by the way, that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant got traded to the Western Conference. Phoenix making the trade for Kevin Durant and Dallas making the trade for Kyrie Irving. Both of them are huge super teams now that are, definitely going to get some serious attention in the playoffs. Think about how good these playoffs are going to be. Denver, Memphis, Sacramento has actually played really, really well. And, I think everybody's kind of waiting for the floor to fall out from under them, but I don't know if it's gonna. I think De'Aaron Fox has kind of turned a corner. I love Keegan Murray. That dude is really good. And I think the Kings are maybe for real. The Clippers picked up Russell Westbrook. So what? The Russell Westbrook sucks. But and those other guys are made of glass. I just don't believe in them. They're 4. Phoenix is 5, Dallas is 6. New Orleans is a very good team. If Zion is healthy, they're going to be a force. Minnesota, still a very good team with Ant and now Rudy Gobert. With Cat, I mean, that's a good little threesome. Golden State, your former champions, your defending champions are 9. Steph will be back at some point, and they are going to be in the playoffs. And then you look at the rest of this. OKC with some good young talent. Utah, Lauri Markkanen is amazing. I don't know if I said his name right. Portland, you've got Damian Lillard. And then, oh, by the way, the Los Angeles Lakers. The West is stacked. Absolutely fucking stacked. It is unreal. God, looking over at the fucking East, and the East is an absolute joke. The Western Conference is so good, and these last couple games are really going to matter. You're going to see some really good basketball here, especially in the Western Conference, because now it's winning time. You can't afford, if you're Minnesota, if you're Dallas, if you're any of these teams, you can't afford to lose a whole bunch because you'll find your way right out of the fucking playoffs. Very interesting in the West. In the East, not interesting at all. We know exactly what's going to happen. Boston versus Milwaukee. Go ahead and chart it up. Chart it up. And that is guarantee you're going to be the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Boston has a slight edge. I think Boston goes back to the finals again. It's honestly not even worth talking about the rest of this Eastern Conference. I like Cleveland. I do like Cleveland, and I like Donovan Mitchell on that team. I think that's a good team that has a chance. But I don't believe in Philly. I don't believe in Joel Embiid and James Harden. I don't think that tandem works. Brooklyn is your 5 seed right now. That will not stay there. They will lose some games and they will drop. The Knicks are the 6 seed. Miami Heat are the 7. Atlanta Hawks actually have a pretty good team, but they're the 8 seed. And so what? That means that if they do win, they play Boston in the first round. They're going to get fucking smashed. The Washington fucking Wizards are the 9 seed, and the Toronto Raptors, who have looked terrible all year, are the 10 seed. Chicago and Indianapolis round out the rest of that for a potential to get in. What a difference. What a difference of what I just said. All the stars are over in the Western Conference. Almost no stars over in the Eastern Conference. Should be an easy road for Boston and Milwaukee. I think that's definitely your Eastern Conference finals. As far as the West, I got to tell you, the Kyrie Luka, Jesus Christ, that's nasty. The Kyrie Luka connection, that is a really good tandem. If you just get good minutes and numbers out of Tim Hardaway and Christian Wood, and they still were able to keep some of the teams. So I like Dallas. I do like Dallas. I think Dallas is maybe my favorite coming out of the West. For whatever reason, you just can't quite believe in Denver and Memphis yet. They will be there. They'll be probably in the Final Four for sure. Of the Western Conference, I mean, they'll probably be in the semis for sure. I don't believe in the Clippers. It's hard to buy into the Kings right now, but I think your final, the semifinals in the West will probably be Denver, Memphis, Phoenix, and Dallas. Now, that's not to say that Golden State can't fuck around and really do some damage there. I think they can. I think New Orleans is a tough team. I think that the Lakers obviously got better by losing Russell Westbrook, and D'Angelo Russell is a huge upgrade. I honestly can't even believe that they got that done, but I think that's a huge upgrade, and I think that it's Anthony Davis. How much can I believe in Anthony Davis? How good is Anthony Davis going to play? Is he going to be healthy? Is there another injury that's going to happen? I can't believe in it. As much as I want to, I love my guy, but I think I'm going to go Boston versus Dallas in the finals. I think that's my early pick. I hold the right as the proprietor of this camera and this microphone to change my mind later, but I am the proprietor, and you can suck my proprietor.
4th down.
Volkanovski got robbed. Absolutely fucked up fight between Alexander. Actually, it wasn't. It was an awesome fight. It was a really good back and forth. I understand. I think it was 3-2, but I think it was 3-2 to Volkanovski. It's hard to judge takedowns and ground control and what that means. But I just think, especially with the way the fight ended, come on. In my opinion, the 5th round, the way it ends, has a huge effect on who I say wins that fight. If the fight would have kept going, what do you think the outcome would have been? If they would have fought a 6th round, do you think Makhachev could have survived? I don't. I think he was out of gas, and I think Volkanovski had plenty of gas left. I think the way that fight ended, if you watch the Joe Rogan Fight Companion where they were watching it, they all believed that it was fucking Volkanovski. I believe it was Volkanovski. I think he got screwed hard. I think they got to run it back. Who the fuck else is Makhachev going to fight? He's going to kill the rest of these guys that Khabib killed. We saw Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. Islam's going to beat him. He could fight Charles Oliveira, I guess. He could fight I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know who Islam fights other than Volkanovski. That's the fight to do. But yeah, wow. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And what's crazy for Volkanovski is on this same card, Yair Rodriguez wins the lightweight, the featherweight, interim champ, to then make Volkanovski come back down, which is not a problem for him, and go beat his ass, because that's what's going to happen. He's going to beat the fuck out of Yair Rodriguez, and he's going to maintain his featherweight belt. And I think he should have both. I think he should be the lightweight champion as well. And I think they need to run that fight back after Volkanovski honestly could fight Yair Rodriguez for the first minute or whatever that's going to take him, and then go on and fight Islam after that. Volkanovski showed me a lot. That dude is a fucking monster. His heart is incredible. And wow, what a great fight. He definitely got robbed. Makhachev immediately after the fight said, I want a rematch, because he thought he lost. He said, I got to have a rematch. And so it's because he thought he lost. It's fucked up, but that's why Uncle Dana says don't let it go to the judges, and we always have to listen to Uncle Dana. But yeah, the Yair fight, Josh Emmett, I'm just not. I'm done with you. I think UFC might be done with you after this. You'll get a couple other fights, but now you're just a journeyman, and you probably will never get another title shot again. So you blew it. But Yair Rodriguez, I don't see him coming close to Volkanovski. I think Volkanovski shuts down his little game. I think he takes him down and takes him into deep waters, beats his ass over 5 rounds, maybe finishes him. But Volkanovski's striking is great, and he will figure out Yair Rodriguez, and that will probably be the next fight, because that's what they planned on doing. They didn't know that he was going to. UFC probably thought that Islam was going to wipe the floor with Volkanovski, and he can go back to his division the way that Izzy did. But it wasn't like that at all. He did not seem like he was scared. He did not seem like he was. He even said that he wasn't strong. He said Islam wasn't strong. So crazy, crazy card. Can't believe that it ended the way it did. Oh my goodness. You hear the German Shepherd? That's a bark. That's a bark. But yeah, I just kind of want to talk about that briefly. We've got some amazing fights coming up. My wife's birthday is actually a very good fight of John Jones and Cyril Gane. We get to see big John Jones. We get to see the big man. We got look at all these rematches that are just going to be so good. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman's the next pay-per-view after that on March 18th. April 8th is Alex Pereira and Izzy Adesanya. We get that rematch. So absolutely incredible. The dogs are going crazy. I've done a show. We're back. Fuck it in the butt. Love you. Fuck off.